107.3 HFM thanks everyone for listening to Community Radio. We really value your support. The management of Heritage FM Inc. advises our listeners that the views expressed by announcers are their own and not necessarily the views of the management and members of the association.
The Magnificent 7 on 107.3 HFM. This is the show that takes you behind the scenes in the wonderful world of the creative arts. Hosted by a team of creative artists and arts administrators, the Magnificent 7 introduces you to guests from all aspects of the creative arts. Dance, film, music, photography, theatre, visual arts and writing. Only on 107.3 HFM, Tuesdays between 7 and 9 p.m. This is the voice of your community.
And welcome to 107.3, the voice of your community. This is Heritage FM, and this is James behind the desk tonight, and I have Kay opposite me.
You do indeed.
Hello,
Hi, James.
Kay.
Good evening.
How you been doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keeping
Happy
busy?
to be here. Excited.
Uh-huh.
We've got some great guests tonight. It's going to be good.
We have glorious leaders in tonight.
As long as they behave themselves. Or maybe
So that's
more
your
fun
warning,
if they
gentlemen.
don't.
So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have both Judd and Mark Brierley, who is the chairman of the WA Pro Photography. Are we a society now?
We're incorporated.
An incorporated
Yes.
group.
So we're an incorporated association, I believe.
There
so
we go.
yeah.
So you're official-ish.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100% official.
Great.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be talking about photography on and off through the day. And there we go. So let's go to a song. Oh, we have a visitor. Excuse me. So let's play that.
Need a plumber? AHM Plumbing and Gas are a locally owned and operated company that will take care of all your plumbing needs, from tap servicing to hot water unit replacement or clearing blocked drains. AHM Plumbing and Gas have 30 plus years experience and will get the job done on time at the right price. Follow us on Facebook for monthly discounts and specials. Your local experts. AHM Plumbing and Gas. 0413 191 034. PL 6754 station sponsor.
in the name of understanding now, a problem should be
Welcome back. This is James on 107.3, The Magnificent Seven. Now, Judd, that was one of your tunes. Why have you selected Kylie?
I chose Kylie Minogue, Confide in Me, because it is one of my most favourite songs. The video clip is really iconic.
Mm-hmm.
The imagery and the styling from the video clip is some of my most favourite imagery and styling from that time. And it's a great song.
And you're interested in fashion photography?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which we'll come back to later.
Sure.
Our priority today is, I'd like to get a few of your thoughts, and it's a heavily photographically based show. Judd, you're the president of the student cohort of the 2022 Advanced Diploma of Commercial Product Development, which is a real mouthful.
You did give his title, yes. It's a very
yes, I'm sorry
cool
about
title.
that.
No worries.
I think it was trying to get all the plates settled on the table for the night, which threw me on that one. Basically, boys and girls, that basically means commercial photography course, an advanced diploma in commercial photography.
That's right.
Which is turning out to be quite an entertaining course, isn't it?
Very entertaining. Yeah. Lots, never a dull moment, let's just say that.
That's true, yes. So can you expand a little bit more on that?
My position as president?
The position and also the course itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was elected by my peers as the president of our graduation exhibition unit.
Yep.
And my role in that position is to kind of oversee any tasks that are related to the exhibition that we're holding in a few weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
I have been able to rub shoulders with industry insiders and help make decisions regarding our exhibition at the end of the year, which is something that's been really exciting.
Yep. Mark, what have you got? Do you have any comments about the AdDip course at TAFE?
It's a course that I've never actually attended it. I've not completed it myself.
I did do a little bit of internet snooping on you, so you're not entirely uneducated. I will just tell people that.
I think that might be a bit of an understatement.
It is a little bit of an understatement.
Let's just say, I left high school pretty early. So, well, not early. I didn't graduate. Anyway, look, the advanced diploma students, I've been involved with them though for the last 7 years.
Yes.
Attending the end of year exhibition, the auction to raise money.
Yep.
More
and you've been
recently,
very supportive.
Supporting
through the course generally.
all the students coming up through the industry. I know we're
Yep.
going to talk about that a bit later on.
Yes.
I think the course is invaluable. I think if I had done the course, I would be a lot further in my photographic journey than I already am right now.
Okay.
I think it's taken me
cool.
a little bit longer because I haven't had the resources that the people at the TAFE have, the access to the knowledge from the lecturers, the professional photographers coming into the industry that come in to talk, the access to the equipment that the guys have. It's it's really fantastic.
It's reasonably set up.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just received a shipment of new Nikon gear there, so we've got a Z9, a bunch of A7 IIs, a bunch of the new glass for the mirrorless camera.
Brilliant,
gear. And it all adds up in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a small investment.
Yeah, so having access to stuff like that and just being the immediacy of having feedback from really experienced people. That's something you just can't. It's hard to get if you're self-taught.
Yeah.
So I think that's I personally would have loved to have done it. I just financially at the time.
It's not too late, you know.
I could still go ahead.
I think you're a little bit younger than me. Okay, we're going to go into a. First of all, it's going to be a sponsor ad, but then we're going to go into one of your pieces of music, and we might actually get you to discuss that on the back end of it. How does that work for you?
Sure, that's what people want. Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Get ready for the Live Lighter Canning Show, spread over 3 sessions again this year on Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th of November. One of WA's best value events is back, the Live Lighter Canning Show. Now one of Perth's biggest community celebrations. Cheap tickets come packed with free entertainment, fireworks, animals, performances, exhibits, aquatic themed fun, unique experiences and more. Plus, it's stacked with sideshow rides, show bags, food trucks and games galore. The Live Lighter Canning Show. Have you booked in your fun on Friday the 4th and Saturday the 5th of November? Tickets only available through Eventbrite, station sponsor.
Well, Mark, that was one of yours. Would you care to explain yourself, sir?
Yeah, Cradle of Filth, they're in English, what we would call, most people would say it's just a heavy metal band, but they're actually, they're quite a gothic black metal.
It's speed metal, isn't it?
Yeah, they're very fast, but they have, like that song's actually quite a romantic song, would you believe, if you read the lyrics. It's all about being addicted to the love of one person. So, you know, when you read the lyrics, you've got to really
novel concept.
Digest the music. So,
yep.
And it's a lovely song as far as I'm concerned, and it took me a long time to choose the songs for tonight. So there's going to be quite a varied mix of music for me. So it's a cool song.
So we are going to talk about what you do, Mark. You are a photographic industry professional. What is your business? What do you photograph? How did you get to this point?
Right, so I'm a commercial photographer. I run Mark B Images.
Yep.
I'll photograph anything from professional portraits, architecture, food, anything in the commercial sector, basically.
Okay.
So I always define the photography as two sectors: domestic and commercial.
Yep.
And I deal with the commercial, so I deal with businesses mainly.
Yes.
I've been doing that for full time for the last 4 years.
Okay.
Part time, a couple of years before that, but I've been photographing for 15 years.
So how did you get into photography to begin with?
So I've quite stereotypical. I've always had a love of taking photos as a kid and younger, and you can see me with film cameras and everything like that, taking photos and stuff.
Do you have any of those still?
I have the photos, don't have the cameras.
You don't have the cameras.
Still got the negatives and everything. But it was almost like, when you're 17, 18 in the 90s, mid 90s, you're trying to decide what you want to do for a living and stuff like that. And I'm a musician as well. So I went down the realm of going to TAFE and doing music.
Okay.
And studying sound engineering, lighting, stuff like that. I was working with Telethon and Channel 7 and everything like that. And then I ended up in the building industry. So I had to work. And then I went into, I had an injury, and it stopped me, and I was like, I need something creative. I've always had to have something creative. So I was like, I really want to pick up that camera again.
What were you shooting and what were you using at that point?
My very first DSLR was a 60D, Canon 60D with a couple of kit lenses. That was my introduction into digital photography.
Yep.
I did have a Fuji something or other bridge camera before that, but nothing special. And and then I was like, I could make a living from this, and it took me 10 years. Oh, it took me. Sorry, what was it? It took me 4 years to get my first paid gig because I wanted to learn first.
Yes,
you know what I mean. I'm not going to just pick up a camera and start charging people. So it took 4 years of learning, understanding what I wanted to do with photography, trying all different things. And then it was only in the probably I'd say 2016 that I decided to pursue it as commercial photography. Yes. And architecture and stuff like that. So, and it's just been a constant slog ever since.
You're keeping busy, I take it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Nice and steady.
Yeah.
I have clients that regularly book me, like the repeat clients, and I'm always bringing in new clients as well. So I'm doing quite well, but it's obviously taken a long time to do it. It's not something that you put yourself out there and expect to get phone calls left, right and centre.
Yes.
You can go a couple of weeks without a shoot, and then all of a sudden everyone's contacting you and you're booked for 3 weeks solid. So it's just
comes and goes.
Yeah, it comes and goes. It's the nature of the job. So very, very cool. I love it.
What about you, Judd?
Actually, before we go off that, I'm quoting from here something that I face-stalked you. Mark has been described as one of the most unique visionaries of the photographic industry in Australia and ranked in the top 10 architectural photographers internationally. Wow.
My business coach is going to really hate me. I bet you if she's listening right now, Liz, if you're listening
why
right
are you
now,
not listening, Liz?
She is going to be cracking the whip going, Mark, why aren't you promoting your awards and everything like that?
Right, well...
it's difficult though, isn't it?
It is hard. If you go around saying,
if you go around saying, I am the great thing, then there's no end of people who are quite happy to chop you down for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I have been consistently in the top 10 of architectural photographers.
And the thing that I've noticed about your architecture images is the line, and I think again we're going to go into this later, the line between what is architecture and what is art in your work is very, very...
It's art-based.
Slim.
Am I allowed to say blurred if I'm talking to photographers? The concept is blurred, not the photography.
I understand what you're saying,
because some of it is spectacularly artistic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about questioning what is art.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. So when you're working for a client, you have a brief and there are shots that you have to get. Whether you like to get those shots or not, it's all about keeping them happy. But at the same time, you want to be creative and throw in a few shots that are different and your style.
Yeah.
And so you do as well. You make sure you do what they want, but you can also throw in a bit of your style to it and some extra images that might not be to their liking. But then you get hired. You get hired because of that. Yeah. People love... Hungry Jacks. My client is Hungry Jacks, would you believe? Not for their food, to photograph their stores.
Yeah, okay.
Whenever they refurbish their store or a new store's built, I go and photograph it for
How often
them.
does that happen?
Hey?
How often does that
3 times this year. It's not a lot, but it's still 3 jobs that I would not have got, you know. And the reason he got me to do it is because he loves, the marketing guy loves the way I frame the real artistic side of my architecture.
Okay.
Do any of those images make it onto the wall in the stores?
No, but
Yeah, what happens to those?
they're all for him. They're all for the marketing, for showing off the textures and the facades of the build.
Okay.
So it's more for, you know, like, and then that way they can give that to builders, like, this is what it's got to look like, this is how we're designing.
So it's actually brand recording, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So, which is fun. It's really good fun to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you get creative with it. But you know, so yeah, it's I like to blur that, if we'd like to say.
Judd, what do you do before we go to the next song?
I photograph fashion mainly.
Yep.
With a passion for capturing emotion and movement and colour.
Yes.
I also really want to do portraiture photography in the future, but my heart and my dedication to my future is in fashion photography.
Okie dokie. So we're going to go to your next song, and we'll expand on this in a little bit.
Sure.
But it is another one of your tunes, Erykah Badu with Roy Ayers, Bag Lady. Why?
It's such a beautiful, relaxing song. It's a kind of song you can put on when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling sad. It's like kind of a Sunday morning kind of a vibe. It's really jazzy. I'm a big fan of Erykah Badu. She's got one of the most incredible, unique jazz voices that I've ever heard. And the video clip again is really iconic and beautiful.
Cool. Here we go.
Dragging all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you, is you, is you. One day, all them bags gon' get in your way. One day, all them bags gon' get in your way. I said one day, all them bags gon' get in your way. One day, all them bags gon' get in your way. So, bag light, bag light. See you coming, niggas take off running from you. It's true, oh yes they do. One day he gon' say you crowded my space. One day he gon' say you crowded my space. I said one day he gon' say you crowded my space. One day he gon' say you crowded my space. So
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community. And within our community, we have coming up soon the SJ Food Truck Fiesta in Serpentine. It's on Friday the 11th of November. What a great way to end Seniors Week, celebrate Remembrance Day and enjoy time with friends and family in your community. Food Truck Fiesta features Perth's finest food trucks and free giant games.
That sounds fabulous.
Okay, there is a picture and it's not about giants. It's about games that are big. I'm just saying, just in case you got the wrong.
Can I just sort of take you off on a tangent?
Of course.
Currently down towards Mandurah Way, it's either just started or it's just about to start, and there's a Danish sculptor who's installed a bunch of giants in the woodlands around there.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere
So,
recently.
and one of them allegedly is going to be setting up either in Kings Park or Subi somewhere.
Okay. So we've got giants everywhere.
Yes.
Drop in and grab a takeaway or barbecue or BYO blanket or chairs and find a spot on the Oval to enjoy dinner with friends and family. So this is on Friday the 11th of November, 11th of the 11th, 5 until 8 p.m. at the Clem Kentish Oval in Wellard Street, Serpentine. It's free entry and you can get more information from community activation at sjshire.wa.gov.au. There is also accessible toilets, acro parking, drink sales, FPOS, food sales, parking and toilets.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to HFM 107.3, the voice of your community. Does that sound proper?
It sounded very good. I was actually talking to one of the other co-hosts, one of the hosts here the other night, and he actually read out our Magoo IT ad. Mm-hmm. And I went, that's really cool. Why did you do that? He said, I just wanted to use Mr. Magoo's voice. I was like, oh, well, I'll take it.
Anywho, back to business, boys and girls. Young Judd, how important is it to bring student and ambitious photographers up to speed and skills for the business, please?
I think it's really, really crucial and very important to get, students and ambitious photographers up to speed with skills for the business. Coming into the beginning of the diploma course last year, I thought I knew.
Yes, you did the diploma before doing the ad dip.
I did, that's correct, yeah. It was like the process you take. I thought I knew. I'd been taking photos for about 10 years. I'd done lots of kind of YouTube tutorials. I'd done a couple of like workshops with photographers, and I thought I knew quite a lot, but I didn't. So, things like the programs that you use to process imaging and like printing and color management, things that you don't really think of when you are an amateur photographer.
It's a vortex that you just don't really get a grip on.
It's never ending.
It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, and I feel like with the prevalence of mobile phones at the moment, a lot of people think that they're great photographers, but the apps and the quality of the cameras in the phones are nowhere near as good as like a digital, SLR or a mirrorless camera. And I feel that I feel like if you're wanting to be a photographer, you really need to step away from that kind of camera kind of photos, because I think learning how to use a proper camera is really important if you want to be a professional photographer. Mark, have you got any comments?
Firstly, I just have to go on record that these are my own personal opinions and don't reflect anything that I'm part of. I think it's actually crucial that professional photographers help the next generation of photographers come up through into the industry.
And this is what the association is.
And this is what we want to do with with Pro Photography WA. We want to support the students coming through. Now,
why?
If we don't, then we're going to have uneducated photographers coming through. It's that simple. This is my personal opinion. If you only have to look at trades, like we talk about always having to apprentices, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, things like that. We're always give back. We've got to get, bring the next generation through. And if we don't, well, we're going to have some seriously underqualified tradespeople out there doing their jobs. Now, I know they're life-threatening jobs, electrician, plumbing, gas fitting and stuff like that. They have to be licensed. And I know photographers, we don't have to be licensed. But surely the same's happening now with the advent of phones. Every man and his dog's a photographer. I've just bought this DSLR. I'm going to start advertising and make money and try and make money from this. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Can you imagine an electrician doing that? When it comes to... I feel like we're already seeing this now. Because it's in the past, there's photographers, I'm not going to name names or anyone like that, but there are photographers that have been hesitant about passing the torch because they don't want to lose their own work.
Of course.
Now, I think that's pretty silly, to be honest. I think that's very insecure.
I think that's a bit of the tall poppy syndrome coming in, though.
Exactly, yeah. So, I'm in a position that if 10 minutes of my time to another photographer is going to help them, then I'd be irresponsible not to do it and not to spend that time with them. And maybe a little bit of advice that I could give them can guide them and help them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very hard to take on an assistant and things like that, but I'll definitely share everything I've got, every bit of knowledge that I've learnt with someone who wants to know. I'm not going to hide anything.
I think one of the really interesting things about becoming let's call ourselves, we're professional photographers.
Yes.
And the difference that makes to the consumer is that you'll get images which are done properly, and they are better than your Uncle Bob, your well-intentioned Uncle Bob with his camera, or somebody else with their mobile phone.
Yeah.
It just is.
I think a professional photographer is going to be able to walk into the situation and be able to react to problems a lot faster.
And just deal with them.
Yeah. And I think a prime example, I'm not worried. I've got clients, I've got regular clients. And I seriously am not worried about anyone coming in trying to undercut me and steal that client off me. And I was going to have one example, but today made it two. So yesterday, one of my regular clients came in. Mark, we need you to photograph 2 bits of machinery that we've sold to a company. Are you available this week? I said, yeah.
So no lie-in for the rest of the week then, is what you're telling us.
So end up put me in contact with the client that they've bought the machine. They were talking big
thing,
millions of dollars worth of machinery.
Yep.
So we're doing it Monday anyway. That's not good for him this week. But at no point was there, Mark, how much? Mark, can you put us quote? It was just simply, we need you, Mark, because we've worked with you before. We know what we get, and we know you're reliable, and you deliver the product.
Yep.
So no question of how much first. It was just whatever the cost is, Mark, go do it for us. We just need it done.
But so they also have the experience of knowing what you charge.
Exactly.
They know that you're not going to rip them off.
Exactly.
They also know that we know that if you rip somebody off, you're not going to get called back anyway.
Yes.
So it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. And then the exact same thing happened again today.
Yeah.
With a different client, like completely food-related client.
Okay, nice.
Completely different. And again, never with them, there's never a question of, we need you to put in the quote first.
Yeah.
They do have obviously experience with how much I charge, but it's just simply, Mark, we need you. We work with you, and that's exclusive.
You're part of the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've no worry about
and
them.
That's important. Yeah.
Businesses will never, they're very reluctant to change. If everything's running smoothly with a supplier, they're very reluctant to change because it's a pain.
Yep.
So, I think, I'm not worried about a new photographer coming in and taking my work from me. And I think, we need to support the industry. It's crucial we do. So.
Okay, well, we're going to go for some, first of all, a sponsor ad, then go into some Ginger, which is another one of your tracks, Mark.
Yes.
Talk to me about Homeback by Ginger.
Yes, I was hoping I could get to speak to this one first. So Ginger are a Ukrainian band.
Very topical, very good.
Yes, very topical. They're actually ambassadors. They've been made ambassadors to raise awareness and raising funds for Ukrainian people.
Yep.
This song called Homeback is actually written a few years ago. And it was written about the first incursion that happened with...
So Crimea.
Yeah. And it's just relevant. It's so relevant to what's happening now.
Yep.
The T-shirt I'm wearing, I know we're on radio, but is Ginger. And on the back, you'll see...
This is going to work really well on radio.
Yeah,
that's good.
You'll see. It says, we want our home back. And that's one of the lyrics in the song.
Okay, fabulous.
And so, it's a gorgeous singer. She's a female singer, and I'm telling you right now, that is a female singer the entire way through.
Okay, here we go.
That.
Why pay new prices when you can give something previously loved a new life, save money, and help save the planet? At Second Chance Op Shop in Kelmscott, we have an amazing selection of books, clothing, and homewares, all great quality and at low, low prices. So why not refresh your library, wardrobe, and give your home some finishing touches by visiting our shop on 255 Railway Avenue, Kelmscott. Second Chance Op Shop. Find us on Facebook and come and have a browse. Station sponsor.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community, is proudly supported by
Southeastern Motor Trimmers,
WA Classic Sounds,
Canning Agricultural, Horticultural and Recreational Society. Become a corporate member and support the voice of your community. Go to the webpage heritagefm.org for email details or to find out more.
go. And welcome back. This is James at 103.7. This is
And
Magnificent 7. And
I'm Magnificent 7.
Sorry, I was going to get to you.
I know. Just jumped in there just in case you forget me.
No. Kay's sitting very, very quietly in the corner of the studio behind one of our rack units at the moment, boys and girls. So it's she thinks I'm ignoring her, but I'm not.
She just wanted to be heard.
Okay, so young Judd, we are going to talk about your career ambitions. What are they? How do you anticipate your career progressing following your AdDip completion?
I have big career ambitions for myself. I see big things for myself, yes. And I'm not going to stop until I get there.
Excellent.
So those ambitions are to eventually work for a magazine that'll pay for me to fly around the world.
That sounds awful.
But a high fashion magazine. I want to be a highly sought after fashion photographer that gets flown places all around the world. I think that I will probably have to leave Perth at some point. I'm probably going to look into doing that within the next 12 months, I think.
I think so.
I think I'll try do what I can in Perth and see if I can make a name for myself within the community that we have here, and then move either interstate over east or internationally, so somewhere like London or New York or LA.
Well, all these other photogs are just hogging all the work, aren't they?
I've got some
I don't shoot fashion.
I've got some friends in New York, and they said that Americans froth for Australians.
Okay.
And they said that if you
curious choice of words, but it's lovely.
if they use some Australian jargon, they'll fall in love with me. And there's a place that I forget the name of that a friend works in. It's a collaborative studio. And they've shot major campaigns and magazine covers and stuff like that. So I really want to work in a studio that's really creative, that's solely focused on creative fashion photography. That's what I want to do.
Any thoughts, Mark?
Oh, I'm loving that. I think that's fantastic that you can have, you're so driven that you know exactly what you want to do. I mean, it's the best thing to be able to know like that, instead of teetering about going, I'm not sure. Like that drive to just go, this is what I want to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Go ahead and do it. I mean, all power to you, mate.
Thank you so much.
No, seriously, perseverance, survival, and just keep doing it.
Just getting there is the goal, challenge.
So who are your influences in terms of fashion photography, perhaps?
Wow, where to begin? Look, I'm massively inspired by David LaChapelle.
Yes.
I'm really, really, really inspired by, I don't even know where to start, Herb Ritz, Richard Avedon. I love Annie Leibovitz. Her fashion stuff is beautiful. I really like...
she would not call herself a fashion photographer.
She wouldn't, no. But she's just released is it Wonderland? A Wonderland book?
Which is amazing.
Incredible.
It's beautiful.
Some of the portraiture is stunning.
I may have that in my library.
Yeah, I think you do. I saw it. Yes. Yeah. I got a signed copy, which I can't believe I have. So yeah, people like that. Heidi Slimane, which was quite a popular photographer in the late 90s. I love Ellen von
Unworth.
She's amazing.
I have one of her books.
Oh, do you? You know what? I've got a list of photographers in my phone that I am heavily inspired by. I'm going to pull it out. I should have had it pulled up earlier. Oh, okay, here we go. Yes, they're all coming to me. So Irving Penn, Stephen Meisel, who's amazing. Stephen Meisel has done a lot of work with Madonna, and he was responsible for the imagery for Madonna's Sex book, which was quite controversial in the 90s. I own a copy of that book, and it's...
Do you? I'd love to see that.
Oh, I'll bring it into TAFE one day for you.
Please.
Have a browse through it. It's one
Keeps away from the young people, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
They might see a naked body or a nipple.
A freak out. And Mario Testino is one of my all-time favourite.
So is there anything about these particular photographers that is so inspiring for you? Can you summarise what it is about these guys and ladies
I think
that stands out?
Definitely use of colour is something that really catches my eye.
LaChapelle immediately springs to mind for that.
And Ellen as well.
Yes.
I really like the warp perspectives most of them use, and just the way the images are composed.
Mark, do you have any preferred photographers, or are you at this point in your life where you think, oh no, I don't need to do that?
No.
Who inspired you?
Oh, that's a tough one. Jeffrey Smart's one of my biggest inspirations, and that's a painter. He's not even a photographer. Howard Arkley, another artist, not a photographer really. them two for inspiration on urban landscapes and stuff like that I absolutely adore. When it comes to photographers themselves, there's a beautiful photographer called George Byrne. He's doing some fantastic work in the US at the moment. He's a Eastern States photographer, but he's in the US. And then a lot of local photographers, to be honest. We have got the likes of Christian Fletcher down south, who's just doing amazing work. Tony Hewitt, Kelly Barker, Liz Barker. Liz Barker as well. Just there's a lot of inspiration to be found just here. But a lot of it I get from outside photography. So Simpsons is another big inspiration for me for my photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? How does that inspire?
It's the colour palettes. It's the framing of the like the buildings and stuff like that. It's that simplicity of drawn buildings with flat walls and stuff like that.
Sure.
So what you're talking about basically at the moment is being able to look around you and take inspiration from external sources rather than remaining internal to photography.
Oh, definitely.
Which is, I think, it's a serious risk.
Yeah, you've got to look outside of it.
Yeah, I try to avoid getting drawn into. I must be like this photographer or that photographer.
Yes.
Because what you end up doing is emulating them and not developing your own voice.
Well, that's completely true. It's one thing I talk about with the old Helsinki bus station theory. And if I won't go into, it's too long to go into detail with that, but please Google it, anyone. It's very easy to find. But it talks about staying on the bus. It talks about you start out emulating those people that you like.
Yep.
And if you just keep going, you'll start creating your own voice. You'll find your style. The problem is people get annoyed because they're just replicating people. So they go back to the bus station and have to start again with a different genre. And then they're emulating other people.
Yeah.
And
yes, get your fingers off that desk.
So I think you just got to persevere, like I talk about, and eventually you will find your own style, and go from there. So it's
fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, Kay, are we set up to do another community service announcement, please?
We are indeed.
And would you be so kind as to do such a thing?
I would. If you're having trouble with your smartphone, tablet or laptop or unsure how to get started using technology, there's a couple of things that you can do. Firstly, you can listen into Making IT Easy on 107.3 HFM.
It's a fabulous program, I understand.
It is. Fortnightly, which is this Saturday from 12 until 2. Or you can book in an appointment with the friendly tech volunteers at some of the libraries. So this one specifically is the City of Gosnells Library, particularly for residents 55 plus. They need to make an appointment, and this is at the Addie Mill Centre. So you can contact 9391 6038 or amc@gosnells.wa.gov.au for further information. I'm sure you can find more from heading to the City of Gosnells website. But I can also tell you that the City of Bayswater runs similar things, and they have amazing volunteers there to help. So if you're having trouble, particularly if you're a senior in the community and you're wanting help with your IT, go to your local library and ask the volunteers for some assistance.
Thank you so much. Judd, we're going to go to Björk next, a little Icelandic pixie, and the modern things. Talk to me about Björk.
I love Björk. She's incredible. She's actually just announced Perth residency in March next year, which is incredible. We're incredibly lucky to have her come here.
Yes.
She's not touring anywhere else in Australia, and she's here for a 6 or 7 show run. Which I'm really excited about. The reason I chose this song is because it's so beautiful. I've cried to the video clip a number of times. It's the 4th track of her sophomore album Post, and the pre-chorus contains lyrics sung in Icelandic, which has always given me goosebumps.
Fabulous. Here we go.
All them button things like cars and such have always existed. They've just been waiting in a mountain for the right moment. And listening to the
Welcome back to HFM 107.3, the voice of your community. This is James on this side of the deck, and just over there is young Kay.
Still.
Kay's still here, sitting quietly. We have.
I am. I'm trying not to be argumentative.
How unlike you.
I know.
Well, let's not call it argumentative. Let's call it enthusiastic. Enthusiastic.
Can I jump in with a challenging question? An enthusiastic question
yes.
then? We were talking, and this is completely off script, we were talking about fashion photography. How is fashion and architecture photography, how is it changing that more and more is becoming online instead of inside a glossy magazine? Surely that must be a real challenge to a professional photographer.
Well, I think that it's fantastic, because it's still, the imagery still needs to be seen, whether it's digital or a hard copy. The images are still being made, they're still being created, people are probably still getting paid, but it's being probably seen at a more of a bigger audience and a quicker. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Does that make it more challenging when you were talking before about, professional photographers using a real camera as distinct from somebody who's using a mobile phone? But when you're talking about things being on screens, suddenly that's not as much of a distinction anymore. Mm-hmm. A good photographer can use a smaller camera at a smaller resolution and still, get something potentially onto a screen.
Definitely.
So that's...
Yeah, how would you answer that?
I suppose with architecture it's slightly different. The print is still there. I have a lot of clients that still want prints. Mm-hmm. They want them in their office to show off.
Yeah, so they need to blow them up and make them bigger.
Yeah. The equipment is different. The advantage of a tilt shift lens, I'm yet to see an iPhone be able to do that. Yeah. So there's those sort of things, and the ability, having, like for myself, having 45 megapixels, 46 megapixels, whatever it is, the ability to crop, work my shadows, the ability to really create that great image. I'm not seeing that in phones just yet. I always say I think phones are fantastic. I do a lot of my recce's and my scouting with phones, that could be work, that.
Yep.
The immediacy of a phone. So
everybody's got one.
Yeah, for small business, like I'm talking like your people are running a coffee shop and stuff like that, or hairdressers.
That gets back to something we were talking about earlier, I think. I think you're right. I think it's about picking and choosing exactly what you want to use a professional photographer for, compared to what you feel that you can do yourself in your own small business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I am playing devil's advocate a bit here, because one of the projects...
unlike you.
I know, right? One of the projects I've discussed with James is that I like to think I can take a pretty decent photo on my phone. I can use some of the apps because I'm a bit techie, and you can take like 300 and choose the one you want.
Yes.
But I put up my photos next to James's and go, wow, my photo was great until I put it side by side with that. The miserable fringer.
That's not what she says. That's not what she actually says.
Keeping it clean.
So I think there is that. If you're a business and you're looking at getting a professional photographer in, do it and then compare it to your own photos, because you might think that yours are looking really good, and that's until you get somebody who's got your skills and then goes, oh, you're using it from a different angle, or you're using different lighting or better lighting, or what is it? Lighting is where
it's all about the light. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like in the perfect light, a phone will do a wonderful job, but in a bad light,
not so much.
A camera's going to do a much better job and be a salvageable photo. Like
filters can only do so much, although we try.
Not in here.
And it's also the restraining what you do with that photo afterwards. Some of the filters people put on their portraits are just like, way slow. Calm that down a little bit.
Easy.
Where a photographer has the experience to know how far they should push it, and
everything in moderation, including moderation.
Exactly.
So sorry about that, taking that completely. So we're going to go back to Pro Photography WA.
Yes, we are. Mark, you're the president of Pro Photography WA. What is that? How does it enhance the local photographic business, and more widely, does it have any national or international reach?
No, Pro Photography WA is solely for West Australian professional photographers, and now coming up with that term, professional photographers, has been one of the most difficult things to discuss.
Yep.
what is a professional photographer.
Yes.
Now, so there's quite a bit of confusion that we're only for working professional photographers, where we're actually for people holding themselves at a professional standard.
Okay.
And we're not looking at like, oh, you're making this much money a year out of your business, but you're wanting to achieve a higher standard of your photography at a professional level.
Yep.
So yeah, we're all a bunch, we just want a community of like-minded photographers and videographers. We want to include videographers in this because majority of photographers have either gone down that route
you need
or
to be cross-platform, don't you?
Yeah, you have to be cross-platform, and the equipment is letting us do that nowadays. I mean, I
what are you shooting on now?
I offer video services. I've got a Nikon D850. I've got two Z6 IIs, a GoPro 10, and a Mavic Air 2. So that's my kit.
So we talked a bit earlier about you bringing forward the next generation and imparting knowledge. That seems to be part of the reason why this organisation exists.
Yeah.
But what else? What else are you trying to achieve with it?
It's really just trying to achieve a sense of community. Photography can be a very lonely business because we're normally all working for ourselves. And it's giving the ability to have a network of people that you can go to. That's what we're working on at the moment. We have a student membership, we have a normal membership, we also have a retirees membership. So we're encouraging the students to come on board because then they're going to have access to working professionals or professional photographers from all genres that they can nitpick, network with, and and it's just getting to know who's out there in the industry as well. We are also looking at doing an accreditation service, and this will be something we're hoping to launch at the start of next year. We're in the process of fine-tuning it at the moment, and this is going to be for the photographers that are working and want to be able to promote themselves as an accredited photographer. And what it's doing is it's going to give the public confidence that you are hiring a photographer that, one, is insured. That's what a big thing. You've got your public liability, you are an insured photographer, you're paying your taxes, you've got your ABN and you are legitimate, and you hold yourself to a high standard, and you are constantly developing your skills as a photographer. Yep. And that's the sort, so that gives the public a sense of safety that they're getting someone that knows what they're doing instead of what we call a cowboy.
Yep.
So we're doing that. We're running events throughout the year. We've got all sorts of different events that we're planning. We just recently had 10 Cubed, which was 10 speakers for 10 minutes.
That was last week.
Last weekend. Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. We had a variety of speakers that had been in the industry for 2 or 3 years to 40 years.
Gracious.
You know what I mean? So we've had, there's 10 speakers there that were just absolutely stunning to hear basically their journey or talk about some images of theirs, things like that. So that was a really successful event. We had great feedback afterwards. And, when we do these events, it's all about networking. It's all about providing the ability for photographers to come together. And 10 Cubed was fantastic for that because, if you've not been to one and you're new to it, and you rock up at one of these events, it can be very difficult to, hey, I'm such and such, and put yourself out there. And you don't want to just be walking around handing out business cards because no one, you want to actually talk to these people. 10 Cubed, at least, you had 10 speakers that had just spoken, and straight away you've already got a door opening because you can just walk up to them and go, oh, I loved your speech.
And that's only 100 minutes, so if you're there for a couple of hours, 100 minutes is nothing really.
Well, we had a full hour dinner break, so we provided food for everyone. So there's an hour to start mingling, and then obviously afterwards as well. So we're really looking forward to that. We've had it. That was really great. We've got a Christmas party coming up, and then we're also going to be looking at bringing in some state awards. So
fabulous
for next year. So because
this is one of the things that the AIPP, so the WA Professional Photography Association, used to offer.
Yes.
And clearly because the AIPP has now dropped away and no longer functions, that is no longer there. So this is one of the things that PPWA is going to
we don't want to be seen as the replacement. We want to, there's no rules now.
Yeah.
You know, all bets are off. We want the community to come to us, tell us what they want.
Yep.
And, you know, you're talking to the people that can actually make the difference.
Make it happen.
Yeah, and make it happen.
So what else does the PPWA offer to the photographers of WA that AIPP didn't?
I think it's more just, it's because it's WA based.
Yep.
At the moment, that's how we're keeping it. So, you know, we're a smaller community.
Yep.
And we're just going to concentrate on us. There are a lot of other photographic communities in WA, and we want to be part. When I say part of them, we don't want them to join us, but, you know, we're all aware that they're out there.
Yep.
And we want to work together.
Okay.
You know, we want to support everyone.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, and we've got some great crew behind it that are working to us.
Yep.
We've only been active. We've only been live for since July.
Yeah, it's not long, is it?
Yeah. You know, the AIPP closed down last year, at the end of last year, and then pretty much straight away there was 3 people, Kelly Barker, Shireen, and Karen, that straight away were like, we need something still.
Yep.
And then I jumped on board, a couple of others of us jumped on board, and within 6 months we're incorporated and up and running and starting to take memberships.
Yeah, I understand that the PPWA is now offering. Are you offering insurance? I know you've got legal.
No, we can't,
advice.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have legal advice. So one of our sponsors is Success Legal. So they can offer legal advice. We did look at offering insurance, like could we do it?
Yep.
We approached a few of the insurance companies to see what the possibility was, and unfortunately it's too difficult because everyone's got their own needs and wants, and so whether you're a studio photographer, whether you shoot drones, you know, like it's your public liability is going to be completely different to anyone else. So they couldn't give us a blanket insurance that could come with your membership, sort of thing. We do have professional photographers brokers insurance. Insurance brokers, sorry, PPIB. They're on board as a sponsor. And we also have the backing of some industry, you know, big names in the industry. We've got Sony, we've got Nikon, we've got Fitzgerald Photo Labs, we've got Perth Pro Labs, Team Digital and Camera Electronic are all sponsoring us.
Those guys are always very supportive of the rest of the community.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is really the biggest thing we want to promote is community, is everyone helping each other and supporting each other. And if we could do that by putting on events and putting on some workshops and some social catch-ups and all that sort of stuff, then
so be it.
You know, we can aid in bringing everyone together.
Okay, cool. Judd, do you have any input? Any comments you wish to make?
No.
You're furiously scribbling on your notes.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just
are you trying
preparing
to
for my
distract
next
from
question.
going to another one of Mark's songs? Are you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're going to have to do it at some point.
No, this is a really good one.
This is Spawn.
Yes. So talk to us about Spawn, Mark.
Okay, so the band George from Brisbane, and I got to see them live in the 90s at the Grosvenor Hotel. Now, the Grosvenor Hotel is a very small little venue, and this is before George sort of exploded on the Australian scene. There must have been 20, 25 people in the Grosvenor Hotel. The stage was about a foot high. There was no one standing, like the closest anyone was standing to the stage would have probably been about 3 or 4 metres, and we were all comfortably spread out. Most people will know the singer, Katie Noonan.
Yes.
So that's who the singer of George was. Her and her brother were the singers. And this particular song, Spawn, is just one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And her voice is insane. I think she's got the best voice in the world. I think Whitney Houston, all those divas could really take a good look at what Katie can do. And when she played this song and hit those high notes at the end, at the Grosvenor Hotel, we thought the windows were going to smash. Shadow, because it was so good and very, very different to what we've been playing of mine.
It is, isn't it? This one's
the levels on this song by the sound of it.
This is actually nice.
It's a gorgeous song.
AHM Plumbing and Gas are a locally owned and operated company that will take care of all your plumbing needs, from tap servicing to hot water unit replacement or clearing blocked drains. AHM Plumbing and Gas have 30 plus years experience and will get the job done on time at the right price. Follow us on Facebook for monthly discounts and specials. Your local experts. AHM Plumbing and Gas. 0413 191 034. PL 6754, station sponsor.
Depths of age melt away, and I'm trying to rediscover the wider beauty of the first glance. And you can talk what's mine, add to the weight of time, with cold eyes and a furrowed brow. And you can talk what's mine, turn back the hands of time, but beyond time is the sun. From atmosphere spun, from the old ring rings gone, doesn't mean that my mind won't cry. And I can't believe that you're happy to be from your gone. Each year I peel back my skin, and fleshy back appears, yet I hide a layer grows, protecting certainty. You're afraid to love, resist my resistance, reluctance to return. And you can take what's mine, add to the weight of time, with cold eyes and a furrowed brow. And you can take what's mine, turn back the hands of time, but beyond time is the sun. From atmosphere spun, from the old ring rings gone, doesn't mean that my mind won't cry. And I can't believe that you're happy to be from your atmosphere spun, from the old ring rings gone, doesn't mean that my mind won't cry. And I can't believe that you're happy to be from your cold eyes. From atmosphere spun, from the old ring rings gone, doesn't mean that my mind won't cry. And I can't believe that you're happy to be from your
Welcome back to 107.3 HFM, the voice of your community. This is James on the Magnificent Seven. How are we doing?
Yeah, coming up to asking questions about the Minister of the Arts.
Oh, right.
You
so
like that question, don't you,
I do.
James?
I do. I would like to get one of these, some of these ministers on air and pin them down and ask them why the arts have suffered so much over the last couple of years. And without myself getting into party politics, because strange though it may seem, it's not all about me tonight, boys and girls. I would really like your perspectives, both of you, on were you in a position to influence both national and state arts funding, or the uptake and adoption of arts within society generally? What would you do different? Why? Go.
You want me to go? Mm-hmm. All right. I think over the last couple of years, it's probably very hard to look back at because of what's happened with COVID and all that. It's not exactly a very clear, generalised look because of how extreme that
maybe
was,
taking
obviously.
COVID out of the equation would be a good way to approach it.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. That's why it's like it's a bit tailored towards that, because
I'm going to argue that a little bit.
Well, with all the venues being closed for musicians and stuff like that, to be able to, if you're looking at that side of the arts, if we're looking at arts in general, if I was in a position, I mean, one thing that you can always do is we can always have more money, that's for sure. There's always a chance for more funding, definitely more more opportunities for artists if we're talking in the painting and sculpture and that type of art, residencies for exhibitions and things like that, more funding for that. That's
I think my question was really much more fundamental. It would be fantastic to have more funding. I have my own personal opinion about why greater investment in the arts would be a fantastic idea. Why do you think arts are an important part of the community and society, is the question, perhaps?
In that sense, it would be pretty boring without it, that's for sure. Life would be pretty damn boring if we didn't have art.
If we didn't have the cactus to argue about, for example.
Well,
I make that point because I don't particularly like it, but there's others that do, and if nothing else, we're talking about it.
We're talking about the caterpillar in the centre of the city, aren't we?
There we go. Caterpillar cactus begins with the C.
The pooed-on cactus.
Yes.
Because let's face it is covered with poo.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's definitely some other structures in the city that could be, wow, how did they get the money for that? I have to say.
Because they're art, and they were funded.
But and you wonder, but I also, that always, when it comes to that, I also go, okay, well, who did you know? Who did you know to get
You're a cynical man, aren't you?
Hilarious.
In any of those big developments, there's a percentage of money that has to get set aside for arts.
I understand that.
That already happens.
So my sister was a ballet dancer. This is because my own personal experiences with funding and stuff like that. My sister was a ballet dancer. She was the first ballet dancer in Australia to be taken, not go, taken to Russia. So they came over and said, Justine, you are perfect for ballet dancing.
Okay.
And they took her to Russia, and she studied in Russia in St. Petersburg for 5 years.
St. Petersburg is beautiful.
In the Makarov Ballet School. Now, she wasn't allowed to go to Kirov because she's not Russian. That's just the way it is over there. Australian ballet didn't want anything to do with her. She was too tall because they didn't have any male dancers to pas de deux with her. So she went to Russia for 5 years and then spent the next 10 years, I think it was, in France as the prima donna dancer for the Moulin Rouge and the Lido. Very, very successful career as a dancer.
Amazing.
Did she try to get funding from the government when she was trying to get over there? Yes. What did they say to her? No. If you were a footballer, we'd have all the money in the world for you.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's I've got personal experience with trying to get funding from governments for the arts and stuff like that. So, my parents paid for everything to get her over there, and she lived on $20 US a week.
Good gracious.
20 US a month, sorry.
Wow.
And so she was doing...
What does that actually mean, though, in terms of living in Russia?
Well, that was in the 90s as well, so very communist.
Yep, so it was probably quite cheap to live there anyway.
My parents were sending her money as well, like hiding money in envelopes and tapes and stuff like that, packages. And she dealt on the black market a lot to get a lot of her food.
I think that still happens, allegedly.
So, and this is a girl that went over at like 17 as well. Left straight out of high school into Russia. I think there should be more access and more availability for funding, and it shouldn't matter who you are as a person as well. And I think it's very, very important, because I know it's that typical saying, what is it? The earth without art is just eh.
Yes. Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? We've had this conversation with a number of our guests, obviously, and some of them come up with the point that the education is all about the STEM subjects.
Yes.
But the STEM subjects, as important as they are, don't really fully approach the full width of our experience. And we do need these other things. And there was an educator called Ken Robinson, is that right? Who was talking about a an incident where this little girl's parents were worried why she wasn't able to sit still in class. I think we discussed this.
Yes, we did.
And they took her to a psychologist who basically chatted to them both in his office, and then excused both the parents and him from the office, left the girl in his what would you call it, surgery?
Yep.
And turned the radio on as they left, and then closed the door, but they were obviously able to watch in, and said, just watch your daughter. And they worked out that this little girl wasn't going to sit down in class because she was a dancer.
Yeah.
So as soon as they'd left the room, she was up and moving around and doing that stuff, and she became a serious and very, very well respected choreographer at Sadler's Wells, and she co-produced and choreographed Cats and a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it's not about, yes, I can, I don't have to take my socks off to count to 20. It's not about that sort of level of maths where you're reaching levels which are amazing, but practically you wonder sometimes, because I'm not a mathematician.
No, neither am I.
You wonder why you'd need to add X and Y when you've got a calculator,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
remember being told that you won't always have a calculator on you. Or,
yeah,
you do.
Yeah, right.
Yes, you do. So I think that by not funding or not supporting the arts, it's not always about the money. It's about empowering people to take part in the arts. It's about empowering people and giving them the confidence to do the best they can with their creative urges, even if, quite frankly, it wouldn't even go on your mum and dad's fridge. The point is that you've actually done it,
and you've got a creative outlet as well.
It's subjective, just like the cactus is very subjective. If we bring that up, I think being able to make a living from it is quite an important thing. Like there should be the ability for people to choose that path, and make a living.
Yeah, exactly.
Because not everyone's set to and designed to go to university and go into the STEM fields or into a college-educated, university-educated career.
Yeah,
right.
And it's funny that you mentioned with the girl non-stop. That's exactly what my sister was like.
Exactly. Yeah.
The doctors were like, Justine, walk out of the room. She skipped out of the room. Justine, come back, walk out of the room. She danced out of the room.
Yeah.
They ended up telling my mum just to keep up. You're just going to have to keep up with her. And she's still like that to this day. She's nothing of her. Still got that perfect dancing body at 48.
Wow.
Bitch.
Oh, don't know. And, and she's still go all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've photographed a couple of times talks on art, especially painters and sculptors and that. And their biggest thing they wanted was a livable wage, a livable way of earning, some way of being able to make a living from what they're doing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I sort of agreed and disagreed, because it's like, well, it's your art, and you'll do whatever you have to do to be able to create that art.
Yep.
Because I thought to myself, here I am photographing your event. It's not really the type of photography what I want to do, but I'm doing it because it's putting food on my table.
Yeah.
The urban landscape, artistic architecture is what I really like to do, but I will be a commercial photographer to put food on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm still working in the field at least. So like by teaching art or something, having to do those sort of jobs, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But it would be nice if we could all just concentrate on our art and make a livable,
Judd,
living life.
Yeah, look, I think art is really important, going back to what you said before. Without it, the world would be incredibly boring.
It would be
Yeah, I feel like that through my whole life, I've always been attracted to artistic
the creatives.
Products. Yeah, and I surround myself with creative people too. So without that, I would be a different person. I'd probably be a bit depressed. I'm very creative, so I use the creative side of my brain, and I think it's really important to embrace that. And it would be fantastic to be able to make a living out of something that you've created with passion and love and enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think it's really important to harness that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
I struggle because out there are shoe salesmen that are going to work every day and, you know, doing something they really don't like to put food on their table. And then to be an artist who goes, look, my passion is to create this and I want to spend all day doing my passion, which I love, and can you pay me for it? It's kind of, I think there has to be some sort of middle ground. I don't think just throwing funding at the arts is the answer.
Okay.
I think
it's definitely not an easy answer, that's for sure. You know, like an easy solution, that's for sure.
I think
there's more to it than that, obviously, but I think we need to definitely look at how can we do it then?
Yes, and I don't think it's just about throwing money at it. I think there needs to be creative ways of how artists can earn their living. And I think we've overlooked a couple of ways that in the last couple of years arts has got money. And one thing is through the NDIS. One of my clients is writing a book, and she is partly being funded through that process and being supported through the NDIS, which is money that you don't think is going to the arts but actually is. And the other thing is that through COVID over a couple of years throughout Australia, there was a lot of free money or money available to people where artists could sit down and they could spend time actually doing their art. And I think it was necessary. I think, you know, for mental health and that sort of thing, it was critical for people to be able to do that.
Well, I'm constantly hearing stories about people who go into what would you call them? The mental hospitals, you know, the people who have breakdowns and they resort to art.
Art therapy.
Art therapy. And it might be singing, it might be painting, it might be something, it's just something creative. So it is I think it has a huge therapeutic benefit, which obviously
but then the question becomes,
about.
do artists have the right to get paid to do what they love throughout their workday, or should they be doing something else that they don't like that's work and getting paid for that, and then having all that, you know, leisure time to fulfill their passion? I don't know. I'm torn. I can see both angles.
Yeah, I can see both. I know. I completely understand where you're coming from. Like over the past few years, you know, like I've only been at TAFE for a little while, like for 2 years now, and there has maybe been some areas that have been obvious that have had maybe fundings cut. And it's a little bit disappointing because you see other departments that aren't, you know, artistic related, and they've got, you know, like hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy new equipment and things like that. And I think that like just as a whole, not necessarily funding the arts, just maybe giving it a little bit more attention, and like, you know, like really encouraging people to kind of get involved with it, because it's something that like you don't really see much. I don't see art events happening much. You know,
corporations have the opportunity, I think, of funding art to go on their walls as an acquisition, and there's a tax deduction. You know, doing more of that sort of thing, like a tax deduction for sponsoring art programs, or if you've got a spare office, use it as a residency, therefore there's a tax break. Those sorts of things, I think, are more creative ways that we could... And absolutely, as we've discussed previously, if anyone on air who's listening has a vacant building, knows of a vacant building that's going to be vacant for the next few weeks or few months, it might be in between tenancies, it might be waiting to be bowled down. Let an artist know, let an organisation like us know, so that we can use those facilities until they go.
Absolutely. Because if anybody is actually on air and listening to us and in that position, if you could either let me know, you can contact Mark at PPWA, or you can let Kay know, and we'll just pass it on to people. You know,
or we'll take over the building ourselves.
That's probably where you were going with that, isn't it?
Look, always looking for... There's so many places in the city that seem to just be dead because they're not being used, because they're owned by corporations, or they don't have lifts, so you can't get to the top floor, so it's an issue, that sort of thing. But there are lots of places around there that can be used. I'd like to see places like cafes having art on the walls and being open at night for exhibitions. You know, we can utilise these things better and help everybody.
I agree.
Mark?
I definitely agree. I think bringing it back to getting paid to do this, do your art, I think you still need to be able to earn the right. You have to earn that right to get paid. You just, you know, you can't just go, I'm going to be an artist, this is what I do, I'm just going to, you know, with no thought whatsoever, and expect to get paid for that. Definitely not talking about stuff like that. I think you have to earn that right to, you know, you've got to qualify, just like you would for any other job. You have to go through a process and everything like that. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and it's one that's I certainly don't have the answers to.
We can try and get a step closer.
But I think discussion and education is probably one of the most important things to do. Educate the public. Educate the public that yes, art is important. and
we're
the
not
artistic
just
fields.
we're not just talking about photography, of course. That's,
No, of course not.
That should receive most of the funding, of course. But,
Oh no, well. That's another question. Where do you draw the line on what's art?
Yeah.
Like when.
Let's go to a song before we start into that discussion.
So, Judd, this is one of your tunes. This is Young Janet. That's The Way Love Goes. Why?
Oh, well, it's such a seductive song. I think that in the video she is giving into all of her desires because she wants to be with this beautiful person. And
she was a bit flirty on the video.
Very flirty and very beautiful. The outfit she's wearing is stunning. And it's probably one of my favourite Janet Jackson videos because of the way she looks and what she's wearing.
I've actually got a jacket and the liner is made up with something which is, it's all Janet Jackson.
You need to give me that jacket. I'm going to steal it off you. But for a bit of trivia in regards to the video clip for this song, J-Lo was an extra in the video before she made it to big fame. So check it out. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Young Janet.
Yep.
Doobie-doobie-doo.
My love is blind, can't you see my desire? That's the way love goes.
Yo, this is Slam. Come on, Tish.
That's the way love goes.
And welcome back to 107.3 HFM, the voice of your community. This is James with the Magnificent 7 and the Magnificent K sitting over the desk.
Now you're getting it right. That's it.
So we, one of the things we were going to be talking about when we were talking about the PPWA is why somebody would want to be part of the PWA. And the idea was floated that being a member of a professional organisation like this is like having car insurance. Does that resonate with you, Mark?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we all sort of pay for our car insurance, and there is a peace of mind. It's there when we need it.
Yes, even if you don't use it, except every once 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and that's what insurance does.
Yeah.
Being part of a member of Pro Photography WA gives you that. Well, there is that peace of mind that you have people to call on, that you can come back to people and help.
Okay, so
you know
it's a
what I
bit
mean?
like an insurance policy of itself. So
Yes.
if you need advice, you've got somebody there as a backup.
If you
And I
need
presume
someone to cover you,
to step in,
to step
good
in,
point.
we have that. We do have that on the website as well.
Okay. That would have been handy during COVID.
Yeah, so
Well, that's what it was. That's the idea behind it. Like, if you got COVID,
Right.
we created a list of photographers. Like, do you want to be part of it? Call on me. These are my skills. I can help you cover a shoot.
I've seen that there's a photo assistance list there, which we've been encouraged to
definitely
sign up to.
Definitely.
I don't think I'm going to get onto that with my iPhone skills.
You'd be encouraged to go to school and take up the Cert 3.
Which is happening at TAFE next year.
Yes, next year, boys and
There we
girls,
go.
there is a Cert 3.
Terrible. It was terrible. Okay, so what we're saying is PPWA. It's like your own personal insurance policy of having a backup.
Well, yeah, and then there's other benefits, like like we talk about the RSC. You've got those RSC cards. There are perks. There's perks to having that card.
Yeah.
I love having my RSC card because I like that 4 cents off on my fuel.
Yes.
And there's plenty of other perks with, I went to Repco to get a light. Oh, you're an RAC member, you get a discount. Great, fantastic. So we have a similar structure with that with Pro Photography WA that we're working with our sponsors. So our sponsors are working out what they can give predominantly to members only.
Yeah.
Whether it be a discount, whether it be like the Success Legal, our lawyer is offering advice and a bit of a discount as well. It's all on the website there. Paul at Perth ProLab is again offering one-on-one advice for printing and things like that.
Yeah, the advice would be particularly useful.
Oh, yeah, definitely for someone like that. And we're working out with the others like what they can offer us.
Yeah.
So we're just getting all that into a place. So there are other tangible benefits, financial benefits to being a member. All our events that we're putting on, majority of them will be open to non-members.
Ooh.
But, and it's a big but, don't expect to pay the same as a member. You will be penalised for not being a member. You will be charged more, and that's the way it was. 10 Cubed was a prime example, $20 per member, $65 for non-members.
That's significant. Yeah.
Well, we want to encourage the people to join. It's financially better if you actually pay your membership.
Yeah.
And then you get more discounts, more entitlements than non-members.
And more advice. Yeah. Okay, we need to move on to
you have a CSA.
We do.
Tell us
indeed.
about our community, please.
So, funny enough, this is actually talking to experts as well, although in a slightly different tangent. This is wanting to have a coffee and talking in your local community about safety. So you can have coffee with a local cop. This is probably not for you, James, or a local council ranger. So there's been a number of these community barbecue series been set up where you can get to know your neighbour at free barbecues between 4 and 6 p.m. at each location. And you can find out more about what's being done about safety in the community, and apparently there's free coffee. Now, the next one's coming up tomorrow night in Darling Downs. So I think I've got that right. Wednesday, the 26th of October, the corner of Appaloosa Avenue and Thoroughbred Drive.
Sounds exciting.
Sounds very horsey, doesn't it? So it's tomorrow. There's more coming up. Whitby, 31st of October. Oakford, 1st of November. Serpentine, 10th of November. Keysbrook, 17th of November. And there's a few after. But if you're in the Darling Downs, get down to that tomorrow.
Fabulous.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, we are going to talk about gear acquisition syndrome, GAS.
Goodness grief.
Judd,
Just in case it couldn't get any more photography than it had already.
What is the latest bit of gear that you've picked up, Judd?
The latest bit of gear that I picked up was I've recently upgraded my Nikon DSLR to a Nikon Z5. It was all I could afford.
Very exciting.
But I did buy a beautiful 85mm prime lens, which is what I've been using predominantly since I bought it. Love it to bits. It's got a speed of 1.8, which is beautiful.
That's pretty fast.
It's so lovely. And it's...
Would you like to explain to our listener all about what a 1.8 lens actually means? Let's just keep it simple.
Let's just keep it simple.
We don't have to talk about actual ratios of focal length or anything like that. But,
so an 85mm prime lens is quite long and narrow. So if you're shooting a subject, it's going to make them look better than you would if you were shooting on a wide lens, because no one wants to be wider than they actually are.
No, I'm quite wide enough, thank you.
So the f1.8, which is the aperture or the shutter speed, is quite a low, or it's quite a high.
It's quite fast.
It's quite fast.
Yes.
So the faster with a prime lens at that length is the best.
Yes. So basically, for those of you who have got no idea at all about photography,
we just took away that length is better. That's what we took away from that conversation.
It's usually the boys who say things like that, you know? And it's not Friday night, so we can't even go there. So your aperture is the hole that the light passes through on the way through the lens, and the smaller the number, the larger the aperture, and the more light you can get through, and the faster it's deemed to be. Mark, what was the latest bit of kit you bought?
This is going to be really funny. This lens, a Nikon 200 to 500mm 5.6 telephoto lens.
Z lens?
No.
Z glass?
No, this is second-hand, old as.
Okay.
Yeah, this is...
Because the Z glass is expensive now.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll go into why I wanted to talk about this topic as well.
Excellent.
This is the reason why I wanted to bring up this topic. It wasn't just all about getting the latest and greatest.
Excellent.
So I bought that lens because I'm going to South Africa over Christmas, and I will be going on safari. And I know that my current equipment is not going to get the shots that I want when you're out on safari. I only have my highest reaching lens is 200mm. Yeah, you do need to.
You need to be a bit further away from the cats for that, don't you?
Yeah, I want to be able to zoom right in on them as much as I can. But I'm no wildlife photographer, so it'd be it'd be financial suicide for me to go out and spend $15,000 on a prime 600mm Nikon lens.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, look at this, when I don't make a living from it. So it's like, no, that'll be fine. I'll be happy with the shots I get from that.
Can you actually hire them over there?
I have looked, and it's because it's because of timing.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite tie up.
Just doesn't work out. Yeah, it's still going to be a week on safari as well. It's still going to be quite expensive.
Okay,
so I'd rather just get this lens and then sell it when I get back, because I have no need for it, but I just want it for a week.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but when I talk about gear acquisition syndrome, I like to think that there's certainly nothing wrong with getting excited about the latest and greatest with technology.
Yep.
We're photographers. We love our equipment, and I get excited when, like, I'm a Nikon shooter, so I talk Nikon, like they're bringing out the mirrorless systems, and then the Z9 came out. Oh, yeah, that's, like there's nothing wrong with getting excited about that sort of thing. New lenses, new bit of kit, new bit of software.
Are you pro or against mirrorless versus optical viewfinders?
I'm in the transition. I'm transitioning from
optical. You're using the 850, aren't you?
Yes, I'm still using a D850, and I've got two Z6-2s as well. So I bought the Z6-2s to start with, to start that transition. I have a couple of lenses that aren't Nikon. Well, one is Nikon, but who knows when they're going to make a Z mount of it, and do I even really want to spend that money?
Yeah.
I've got a 19mm tilt shift.
Yep.
And I've got a Zeiss 15mm Milvus lens.
Yeah, it would be really good if Nikon was to let the patent out for the new mounts.
So
I think eventually it will happen.
Back to gas.
We are still on gas.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting at. So,
lost Kay,
this was an excellent example of being very excited about the new things coming out.
So it's one thing to be very excited, but doesn't mean you need it. It doesn't mean it's going to make you a better photographer.
And you hinted at this earlier, Kay.
Yeah, and I think I've argued this before. I mean, there are really good quality photographers who've come before all of you who've managed without the latest and greatest.
Yes, 100%.
But it was the latest and greatest at the time.
Not necessarily.
Case in point, Bruce Gilden, street photographer, to this day still shoots with his Leica M6, a 28mm lens, and a flash that is wired to the camera. And that Leica M6 is a film camera. So he is still shooting film in 2022.
And I actually know somebody in the room who's actually exhibited cyanotypes.
Who would that be? That may be me.
So when you're talking about, there's like pre-camera, and still amazing work.
Yes.
So I absolutely.
So that's where I'm getting at with gear acquisition syndrome. Like, there is nothing wrong with going, like for myself, an architectural photographer, going, that tilt shift lens, yes, it's pricey, but boy, it's going to make my life easier for my job.
Yep.
Buy it. The Zeiss lens, I was really hesitant about getting that tilt shift lens, by the way, as well. The Zeiss lens, always wanted it.
Yeah.
Dream of that lens.
My first camera was a Praktica MTL3 back in the last century. It was quite early in the last century, actually. And the camera itself was a real tractor of the thing. It was heavy. You could probably stun a buffalo with it.
Yeah.
Talking about going on safari, but it had a Zeiss lens on it, and it was a beautiful lens.
Yeah.
It sort of scared all the birds for 200 meters as soon as you fired the shutter, but the photo was great.
But the thing is that I very rarely use the Zeiss lens.
Okay.
So was that a smart purchase for me?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a want, not a need.
So how do you think the Milvius would compare against what length is the Milvius?
That's 15.
15.
Yeah, it's super wide.
So
2.8 as well.
How do you think it would compare against a similar 15mm Nikon?
Edge sharpness. I've got to be careful here because Michael from Nikon, if he's listening, he's not going to like what I say.
Hi, Michael. Hope you're having a great evening, mate.
Look, they have a different, and this goes for every brand of lens, they have a different look to them.
Yeah.
So a Sigma lens can be quite crunchy, quite contrasty, whereas a Nikon lens has a really nice colour feel to it, and Zeiss have their own feel to it as well. I mean, remember Kubrick would buy 4 or 5 of the same lens just to find the perfect one for him and stuff like that. So what I'm saying by Gas is, don't think that by buying the latest and greatest is going to improve your photography or make you a better photographer instantly, and learn that lens, learn that camera to the point that you know everything about it, what it's capable of. That's why I still use the D850, because I know when I walk into a situation, I know that camera is going to get the job done, and I know what it can and can't do.
Yep.
So especially for my big architectural clients, stuff like that, that's what I use. The Z6-2s are helping me learn the mirrorless system.
Yep.
And understanding what it can do, and I use them mainly for corporate events and stuff like that.
I've my recent purchase is a Z7, Z7 II, and it's a lovely camera, and it gives me basically twice as large an image in terms of file size than my D750, which I love.
Yeah, the D750 was a fantastic camera.
It's a great camera, and I think that I'm in a similar position in that I recognise that my 750 needs upgrading and needs updating, and so I was actually waiting for the D8. Was it 60 or the 880 that was being mooted a few years ago?
Yeah.
For that to come out, and it didn't. So. I sort of had to plump for the Z7.
I only started mirrorless in April.
Yep.
And I was using a 750 up until then as well.
Yep.
So I had a D850 and a D750. So, I just, jumping from one camera to the next, I don't think is a very good idea. I think you need to, once you've got the camera, stay with it for a bit, and actually get to know all the imperfections with that, and perfections of that camera.
Okay, so
that's the sort of thing I mean by gas.
I'm being harassed from the other side of the desk to move along. So, Mark, your next song is going to be the Immigrant Song by Zeppelin.
Yes, definitely.
Why?
Why not? No, sorry.
Next time your internet buffers, lags, or drops out, I want you to say it with me, Perth. We deserve better internet. Get your internet flying through the air quick as a flash. Pentanet is Perth's own private internet network, delivering super fast fixed wireless internet in selected coverage areas. With $0 standard install for a 12-month home or business fixed wireless plan, join Pentanet and make the switch to fast, reliable, local internet. Search Pentanet now.
Station sponsor.
Drive our ships to new
Wow, immigrant song, Zeppelin. As you said, Mark, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely nothing wrong at all.
Okay, so we are going to push on because we're heading up to our 9 o'clock, which is theoretically the end of our show. But we're going to talk tonight about the end of year, the graduation exhibition at TAFE. Judd, would you like to take it away, please?
Yeah, sure. So we are having our graduate TAFE exhibition at the end of the year. It's going to be, our opening night is Wednesday the 30th. Yep. It's open to the public from December 1.
Yes.
It's open for a week.
Fabulous.
And it's not open on weekends.
Okay.
So I believe the general public can go there from about 10 till 4, maybe a little bit longer, but if you stick between those times, they'll be able to access the gallery, yeah.
What are they going to see there in terms of the photographer's work?
Yeah, look, we have some a really high standard of work being produced this year, and a really high quality and a really diverse bunch of art being made. So we've got cyanotypes being made and being displayed. We've got some landscape photography. We've got fashion photography. We've got portraits on display. There'll be some drone photography, which is exciting. Animal photography as well. That is, that's our classmate Hayla. So the exhibition represents impressive growth of the class of 2022.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a solid exhibition with a huge variety of different styles of photography.
You were obviously there last year. What was... How can we actually quantify how you feel that this particular course has evolved and grown? Do you think that this course has been particularly productive? Do you think it's grown particularly? Do you think there's any aspect of what we're doing? Because dear listener, we're talking about Judd being on this course, but I'm on the same course as well, and I'm finding it fantastic. I'm amazed at the growth of all of the people on there, because some of them have come from not being as exposed to photography as Judd and I, and while they are doubting themselves, the work they're producing is brilliant.
Yeah. It's quite impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was actually pretty obvious from the auction that happened, or that was a few months ago now.
Yeah.
And I know that you had, high-profile local photographers contributing work that could be sold, but there was also a series of work from the students.
Yes.
And it was really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had the opportunity to see some photographic work around the world, and it was really good.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that they've improved since then with the amount of work they're making you do.
Yeah, I think with the amount of tasks and exercises we've had over the year to kind of improve our skills and knowledge, and how to photograph certain things in certain lighting and whatever, has really elevated everyone's abilities to be able to produce something that's really impressive.
Yeah, we were talking on the way down from school today about some of the things that we're doing at school. They seem like a lot of work, and at the moment we're doing both environmental portraits out in the community. I've shot, beg your pardon, Dr. Katrina Stratton today as part of one of my portrait shows.
Well done.
So thank you, Katrina, if you happen to be listening. That was great. What we're actually doing by doing these assignments is not necessarily producing the world's best photograph, although what we've seen so far has been amazing. It's the exposure to the whole context of going out as a professional photographer, behaving as a professional photographer, executing our craft on site, and then coming back with the goods. And I think that even though I have doubts about some of the work that I've produced. I'm actually pretty happy with today as it happens, but another project I'm less pleased with.
Sure.
I think that it is demonstrating the growth and being exposed to the business of it. Mark, do you want to chip in at some point?
Yeah, I mean, this is an event that I look forward to every year. Because I come along every year. I donate to the auction every year.
Yes, thank you.
So it's fantastic to go from the auction, then get to see what you guys actually produce.
Yep.
So yeah, normally obviously
you've seen the catalogue.
I got to thank you very much for being a bit privileged to see the catalogue, see before everyone else gets to. Normally I have to wait till the opening night. When you're putting together an exhibition like this, and when it's multi-people, it's not just one person putting together their own exhibition.
We've got 22 in the class cohort.
And that's crazy. That is absolutely mind-boggling to work with. Each photographer's got 5 images to present to show what they have to do as a photographer, what they can do as a photographer. That's really difficult. And that's really difficult to get 5 good photos.
Yeah.
Normally you get 1 or 2 strong ones and a couple of support images. We always, entering the state awards, national awards, we always talked about, out of the 4 images, there was always the dodgy 4th. You always got 3, you could always pick 3, but trying to pick that 4th was the most difficult. I love the diversity that I've seen between all of you, and I think the quality is just insane. It's outstandingly good. And what I'm really loving as well is each individual photographer's set of 5 images coherently work together and support each other equally. I know you're going to have a big one and then 4 smaller images than that, and I do not envy any of you having to choose that big photo, because that's obviously going to be the hero shot. And I'm really impressed with the high standard and the quality. You should be very, very proud of yourselves.
Is any of this work up for sale, or is it simply exhibition?
I think the idea is that if somebody is interested in taking one of the pieces, you need to contact the photographer.
Okay,
so there'll be
it's negotiable.
Yeah, so
I do think this
ideas.
is an interesting opportunity for people who attend to pick up something from an emerging artist.
Definitely,
absolutely.
Clearly you're going to have a fashion photographer here that's going to be travelling the world before long. So being able to pick up something and hoping
getting on the ground level.
That's right. It could be really cool. And not only that, also obviously supporting our local community and our local artists. And being involved in the.
You all get to have a little bio next to your photos, so people will know who they are,
Yeah.
And even if you've got some business cards, I think they normally go there as well.
The
Well,
current
these days you can Google them, can't you, while they're there?
QR
It's probably
code,
a QR code.
coding, Googling.
There's a cunning plan afoot where we'll have a mugshot on the down the centre of the gallery.
What
with
happened to you
an
all doing a
artist
dance
statement.
each? Is that not happening anymore?
They couldn't install the pole for me. And that probably saved you, dear listener, from a great deal of trauma.
That's really difficult to do, by the way.
I've tried it.
Yeah, I've had.
Yeah, it's best I stay on the floor.
Okay, now
Hard
aren't you
work.
all glad that we're on radio?
It was a photography Christmas party. There's been a few drinks.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to make a little point here. We, for this particular exhibition, are going to be framing our images, and this is causing us a little bit of trauma at the moment, and we're all worrying about millimetres so early in the week as well.
Oh, yeah.
And reverting back to that old tired trope, but we're all sort of framing our images, and one of my pet hates is when you go into a supposedly professional environment and you have photographs pinned to the wall.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I dislike it because we're here trying to promote the professionalism of a photographer and photography's perception by the public, and we're just sticking these bits of tacky paper on the wall as if it's nothing. It's not really presenting it properly.
I can understand that it detracts from the quality, the
professionalism.
The professionalism.
I, on the other hand, beg to differ. I quite like that.
Do you?
Yeah, that's what I asked to do with my exhibition,
Oh, wow.
but because it's not a part of the requirements. Like the part of our assessment requirements for the exhibition is to frame and mat our own images, so it can't be done. But I mean, like, you know, for an emerging artist that's young and doesn't have much money, it's a really good option to do.
I do totally get the framing thing. For the show which I did at the City Art Space, I was a similar position, but what I did is I ended up using, you know, those hanging rails that you can buy, the top and bottom
Yes,
print.
I was about to bring those up. Yeah, they're fantastic.
They are.
Yeah.
I actually made my own up.
Yeah, you can.
Out of just stripped steel. And I used server magnets to hold the prints onto the back of these prints.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And we had many
I
a long
remember the
evening.
evening that there was a whole pile of us sitting around pulling apart hard drives to try and get the magnets out of them for James's exhibition.
So I've
Oh,
still
my
got a
Lord.
stack of these
That's great.
damned magnets.
Yeah, Steve Wise did a similar thing, but out of wood.
Yeah.
Out of wooden strips, and he bolted them together, and it clamped the top and the bottom, so it was weighted, so it would hold the paper.
Similar to what James Simon did at Photo Frio.
Yes.
So very good.
They were those giant prints,
Yeah, very good, inexpensive way of hanging your work and making it look quite professional.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. We're going to go to Susan Vega. You're going to back announce it, young Judd.
Sure.
Here we go.
I am sitting in the morning at the diner on the corner. I am waiting at the counter for the man to pour the coffee, and he fills it only halfway. And before I even argue, he is looking out the window at somebody coming in. It is always nice to see you, says the man behind the counter to the woman who has come in. She is shaking her umbrella, and I look the other way as they are kissing their hellos, and I'm pretending not to see them, and instead I pour the milk. I open up the paper, there's a story of an actor who had died while he was drinking. It was no one I had heard of, and I'm turning to the horoscope and looking for the funnies when I'm feeling someone watching me, and so I raise my head. looking inside. Does she see me? No, she does not really see me, 'cause she sees her own reflection. And I'm trying not to notice that she's hitching up her skirt, and while she's straightening her stockings, her hair has gotten wet. Oh, this rain, it will continue through the morning as I'm listening to the bells of the cathedral. I am thinking of your voice.
So, Judd, tell us about that one.
That was a song by Suzanne Vega called Tom's Diner.
Yep.
It's one of my all-time favourite songs, a classic 90s track, and that beat has been sampled probably about 75 times throughout.
I sadly remember when that first came out, and it was new and sparkly.
Yeah, and it was, I think the original song was like almost spoken word.
Yeah.
And then the collaborators who she collaborated with on the remix, DNA, approached her and asked if they could put a beat over the track, and it went to number one for 10 weeks all around the world.
Fabulous. Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, last question of the night. You are hosting a dinner for up to 6 guests, so it's going to be a big table because we have 12 of you, or 12 guests. Without calling in your family, who we might assume may have been invited anyway, who would you invite to this dinner? Why? And they can be anybody, fictional or real, dead or alive. Judd.
Okay, this is a good question.
It is.
So
we like it.
Obviously, a bunch of people at my dinner table are going to be the world's most creative people.
Of course, I expect nothing less.
The first guest that I am going to invite is going to be Björk. Because she's one of my favourite artists of all time, visually.
And you said to me earlier that we are going to be receiving a visitation from young Björk.
We are, yeah. In March of 2023, she is bringing her cornucopia tour to Australia.
Amazing.
And Perth is her only destination here.
Good gracious.
So tickets go on sale on Thursday morning.
This is a Thursday in a month's time, isn't it? So this is kind of like
and tickets run from about $100 up to $500. So anyone that's keen to go, check it out. Apparently it's meant to be one of the world's most amazing art installation shows. She's going to be setting up a pavilion on the Langley Foreshore Park.
Okay, so we know who the first guest is and when we're having it, clearly.
So the reason I'm inviting her is because I want to talk about her inspiration and her fashion interests, because she's her fashion choices are insane, and I want to know why and where she sources her stuff from.
Mark, your first guest.
Oh, okay. So if we're going to do it that way, I would like to invite Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, why?
Because he's an astrophysicist. I love space and the universe and everything like that. And when I was picking my 6 guests, I had a reason why I chose all 6 together. And so with another guest, they'll work really well together.
Okay, point that guest out when we get to them. Yes. Judd, who's your number 2 guest, please?
Annie Leibovitz.
Lovely.
Because I want to ask if I can be her assistant.
That is great. I love that.
And I also think she's quite intelligent when she talks. So I just want to ask her a number of questions and just rule over the way she answers them.
Yeah, she's lived a life, hasn't she? She's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And she's not as young as you or I, obviously, but she's had an amazing life.
She has, yeah. One of her first jobs after booking her work for the Rolling Stones.
She went out on tour with the Stones?
Yeah, like a week after she got her first job.
What a bummer.
For the Rolling Stone magazine.
Amazing.
And she toured with them for like 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Which is insane. She had the wildest time of her life.
Mark, number 2.
Okay, so to coincide with Neil deGrasse Tyson would be Richard Dawkins, who's a evolutionary biologist. And I think at the table, those two would have a very interesting discussion.
So we just need popcorn for all the guests.
So, you know, like I can imagine those two really. I've watched them talk together, but I can imagine, you know, like them two are just going to lock in, talk about life in the universe, which would be really, really
and
cool.
everything. Yep.
And then the other guests will add to that.
Fabulous. Judd, number
Another
3?
guest would be David LaChapelle, who I'm obsessed with, and I've been obsessed with him ever since I was a kid. I want to ask him about his experiences working alongside Andy Warhol, because I believe Andy Warhol was his, like, you know...
mentor sort of thing?
Mentor, yeah. And I just think it'd be really interesting to have a conversation with him about his photography and his journey throughout the years.
Is he still farming? Because he got out of photography a little while ago, went to the back of the
Bahamas?
Was it Bahamas or Hawaii somewhere? Bought a farm, and did some stuff there. And he's sort of coming back into photography at the moment.
Yeah, that's as much as I know.
Yeah, Young Mark.
My next guest would be. I've actually not picked any photographers, by the way, just so we're aware.
That's good.
Comedian Bill Burr.
I don't know who Bill Burr is.
Bill Burr is a Chicago-born, Boston, Massachusetts, comedian. Very rude. Brilliantly funny. I'd love to have a conversation with him, and he's a drummer as well.
Okay.
So that could tie into my next guest.
How do you know if the drum platform's level?
How?
No, the dribbles equally out to the side of the drums. Anyway, moving along, Judd.
So my fourth guest, is it fourth guest?
Yes, you're on number 4 now.
Would be the fashion designer Jean Galliano.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, amazing, yeah. So I would ask him if I could shoot one of his campaigns.
Oh, that's not cheeky at all.
And I would ask him how would he feel about making me like a designer custom outfit out of like a sheet or something really random that I've got lying around the house. Because that's what he's really good at.
Okay, I like that. We have got a little excursion coming up soon. Maybe we should do that then.
Cool. Yes. It's kind of what we were kind of on the path, you know, doing anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark, you're number 5?
4.
Yeah.
To add to Bill Burr, like I mentioned, drumming and a comedian, would be Dave Grohl.
Okay. He seems to be a really nice guy, and he's
a legend.
He seems to be he seems to be good at facilitating other people's growth.
Yeah,
which is lovely to see.
Yeah, he's super funny. He's a drummer as well, so Bill Burr and him are going to just talk drums and you know, laugh, and Dave loves to party as well, so it's going to get quite wild.
Bit noisy.
So yeah, that's why I'd add Dave Grohl.
Did you hear his eulogy at Lemmy's funeral?
Yeah. He's just a legend,
isn't
he? You know, he breaks his leg and refuses to go to hospital and has a doctor hold his leg in place while he plays the rest of the show. I mean, that just
what a legend, hey?
What just elevates you into legendary status.
Absolutely.
And he's a Hall of Famer in 2 bands.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
Sickening.
Champion guy.
Absolutely sickening. Judd, please.
Lauryn Hill would be my next guest.
Yes.
I love Lauryn Hill so much. I love her so much.
Why? Because you've got a tattoo on your leg.
Yeah. Lauryn Hill in Sister Act 2 is my tattoo. So Sister Act 2 changed my life. It opened my world to a creative world of music and just being a fun person. So I would invite her because I'd ask her to recite the entire Sister Act 2 script with me. I'd ask her to sing because she's got an incredible voice.
Yes, she has.
And I'd also ask her to just tell me some stories because I think she's lived a pretty, you know, debaucherous life.
Yeah. Mark?
I would then invite another comedian by the name of Sarah Millican.
I know Miss Sarah Millican.
You know Sarah Millican from the...
She seems very
English?
sweet, doesn't she?
She
Sweet
is.
and demure. But she's a little bit of a bugger.
Oh, she's rude as...
Really?
She loves her tea and biscuits.
Yes.
And I think that would just be hilarious, having her making smart remarks about everyone at the table. So I'd love to meet her as well. I think she's gorgeous.
She does sound like fun.
Yeah.
Judd?
My last one would be Britney Spears, only because of what she's gone through recently. And I'd love to have just a normal conversation with her, but I'd want to sit her down and ask her if she's generally okay. And, you know, like...
That's very sweet of you.
Yeah, she's been through a lot. I'm not sure if you know about what she's been through. Yeah, conservatorship ruined her life. And I would just ask if she's ever going to perform again and where she sees herself in the future, if she's going to have kids. She's just got married. So, yeah, I think that would be an interesting story.
It would.
To go into detail of what she's been through.
Maybe you should take your pile of rags and John Galliano with you and go and see Young Britney.
Maybe.
That'd be a good gig.
Yeah, right.
Mark, last one?
All right, last one, and then I'm going to wrap up why I all six in together.
Okay.
So last one would be Eva Green.
Okay, who's Eva Green? Our listener is dying to listen to know.
Eva Green, she's a French actress.
Yep.
Most notably known for Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
On Stan. And she's also done Dumbo. She did... what's the other? She was in second one of 300, The Rise of the Empire. She is just stunning. She's a beautiful actress. She's a fantastic actress. When she speaks on interviews, she's just
eloquent.
Just eloquent. Yeah, she's absolutely. Just obsessed. I'm in love with her.
Love it. We love that.
So the reason why I didn't invite all those six is because I figured Neil and Richard would be talking about the universe. Bill and John, Dave Grohl would be drumming.
Yep.
Sarah would just be being snarky about everyone. And Ava Green would realise that there was a real chemical connection between me and her. And then by the end of the night, when everyone's had way too much to drink, the scientists have come up with this grand plan for life, the universe and everything, and it's not 42. Bill Burr and Dave Grohl are taking the mickey out of them. Sarah's happily just eating her biscuits and a cup of tea. And myself and Eva have retired to a different room to get to know each other a bit better.
Okay, I like that.
So there's this whole scene. I can honestly say nobody has put as much visualization into this.
So you're not actually going home to do editing or anything tonight. You're just going to go back and dream about Eva Green, aren't you?
I'll probably watch one of her movies.
Fair enough.
Actually, if I could choose anyone to photograph in the world, that'd be her. Yeah, I think she's gorgeous eyes, beautiful smile.
Actually, I've pulled up a photo here of the Sin City photo, and that's that wasn't a bad photo there.
Not terrible.
Yeah, I think they used excellent lighting.
Okay, boys and girls, we're going to have to wrap it up very quickly. So we're going to talk about what's happening in the upcoming few weeks, days, as far as programming on for Kay and I, and then
so we have Making IT Easy coming up this Saturday because it's a fortnightly show, so between 12 and 2. So we're doing a deep dive into self-education and brain training. App of the day will be TikTok, because last fortnight you guys were talking about how many times TikToks have been seen. Listener questions about cookies, what they are, and if we have any listener questions, then try and get them to us some way or another.
Yes.
And of course, next Tuesday we will have the Magnificent 7 on again between 7 and 9.
Okay, that sounds really good. So I'm going to refresh the Graduates exhibition is going to be happening with effect to the public from the 30th of 1st of December for a week, not the weekends, probably between 10 and 4 in the afternoons. Entry by the Pink Container on Aberdeen Street in sunny Northbridge.
And if they want more information about that, where can they go online to find it?
I don't know how we do that. You can contact me, boys and girls, on my Facebook page, which is The Magnificent 7.
Yep, Magnificent 7 Facebook page, and you can get more information there, and maybe by the time you get there, it'll actually be posted anyway.
Yes, we'll have to find a cunning plan to get that information to you.
Absolutely.
The same goes for the Pro Photography WA site. No, that is an actual site. Is it a .org.au?
No, it's just .com.au. So prophotographywa.com.au. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yep.
You can subscribe. You can be a subscriber member.
Yep.
And that just keeps you up to date. Monthly newsletter, just keep you up to date with what's going on. But yeah, definitely jump on the Facebook page and Instagram, and that's another way of being able to keep up to date. And if you are on the website and you're a photographer, then maybe jump on the application form and come and
get
join
involved.
us. Yeah,
get involved. I think that's it.
That's it. We should go out with a song though.
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a delight having you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have you on again sometime.
We would love that.
Yes,
yeah.
Definitely. Very cool indeed. So I'm going to play out with a Beatles track, which is your choice, Kay.
Okay,
This is the Tomorrow Never Knows, take one.
Yes. Look, this one interested me, and I thought you would be interested in it, James, because of this was one of the very early times they started putting in sampling and reverse music and all that sort of thing. I didn't realise they were doing it so early. So, yeah, if you're interested in the song or you like it, then...